there. With us now is Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis, a Republican from New York and the House Republican Conference Assistant Whip. Thank you for bearing with us through that moment right there, Congresswoman. Listen, there is a budget resolution that may come to a vote in the House today. We're not totally sure because I don't know that we know whether Speaker Mike Johnson thinks he has the votes, but there's reporting this morning in Punchbowl and elsewhere. You went from a lean no to undecided to a lean yes in one day. That's a pretty big shift. Why?
Well, it wasn't really just in one day. It was over the course of the last week. And I'm still undecided. I'm not 100% certain how I'm going to vote. But we are working through this. We're getting certainly some assurances from our leadership, some math breakdown of how this is going to look like after we pass the resolution. Remember, the resolution is just the first step that unlocks that legislative process. There's nothing in there specific toward any particular program or any particular tax code change. We would then have to go and craft that. And so, my concerns were always making sure that if we were going to look into Medicaid, that it was going to be focused on the waste, fraud, and abuse that we know is rampant. It is roughly $30 billion to $50 billion a year across the country. New York, my state, is one of the worst perpetrators where we've seen that type of fraud and abuse. And then making sure that we were going to look elsewhere within the energy and commerce space so that my seniors are going to be protected, that the developmentally disabled and other people with disabilities would be protected, and that my hospitals wouldn't see cuts that would affect the service that they provide in the community. So that's always been my concern, and as I get assurances and clarity, I'm moving more toward the yes in the process, but I'm not there yet.
There are some Republicans in the conference who would like to see cuts to Medicaid that go way beyond what you're talking about, which is, waste, fraud, and abuse. They want to see some of the meat really cut out. Would you vote for anything that was like that?
No, I disagree with my colleagues, and unfortunately there are some that want to vote no on this resolution because they say it doesn't go far enough and we need to cut more. But we need to do this with a scalpel. I've said this repeatedly, not a sledgehammer. Some of the rash decisions that I've seen coming out of DOGE, which I do support, finding efficiencies. There is so much bloat in this bureaucracy that we have in the federal government, so much waste and overhead where the tax dollars are not actually benefiting citizens. It's going to just, pure bureaucracy. So I understand the need to find efficiencies, and I support that, but we need to do it in a responsible way so we don't have unintended consequences. What happened last week when we saw the rash decision to fire people and take away grants from the CDC, we saw the 9/11 healthcare program in New York City that benefits so many first responders and survivors from 9/11 that I represent. We had to go back to the White House and get that reversed. And so, again, that was an unintended consequence, but nonetheless it happened, and we had to get involved to reverse it. And that's what I'm trying to avoid here. Let's do the homework and make sure we're doing this right from the beginning and taking our time so we don't have unnecessary anxiety and unintended consequences later on.
On the subject of anxiety and maybe chaos, which is what you're describing a little bit of there, I want to talk about this demand to federal workers, more than 2 million, to list their accomplishments in the last week. I'm going to walk through the timeline here. On Saturday, February 22nd, Elon Musk's team sends an email that all federal employees will shortly receive an email requesting to understand what they've done in the last week. Failure to respond will be taken as a resignation. That was Saturday the 22nd. But yesterday at 2 p.m., the Trump administration informs federal agencies that it's voluntary for employees to respond to Musk's email, and they will not be fired if they don't respond. But wait, there's more. At 7 p.m. yesterday, Elon Musk tweets, subject to the discretion of the president, they will be given another chance. Failure to respond a second time will result in termination. So you'll definitely get fired. You definitely won't get fired. You'll definitely get fired. Do you know which one it is?
Look, I think there's definitely a lack of coordination here. And again, we're seeing Mr. Musk make some decisions that perhaps the White House is not aware of or that they don't approve of, and then they have to go back and fix it. What I would say is, it's perfectly appropriate for an employer to ask the employees, of what they've been able to accomplish on behalf of the constituencies. And I think that's, we do that in my office. We ask for legislative reports of what we've been able to do during the week. The thing is this, we have a president who appointed very good people to run the various agencies, and these secretaries are the ones who should be looking within their federal agency and looking to see how they can make things better, whether that means improving job performance, whether it means making things more efficient, making sure that there are metrics in place so federal money that we're spending are going to their intended purpose and they're achieving their outcome that we wanted them to. That's the thing here. I feel like there should be more involvement here from the secretaries looking within their own agencies as opposed to an outsider. I think it's a good endeavor for Mr. Musk to be looking for waste and spending that could be eliminated, and he's done, I think, a good job with a lot of it. But again, I think some of this is happening too fast and furiously. There are rash decisions being made, and it needs to kind of slow down a little bit and involve the people who are actually appointed to head these agencies to incorporate efficiencies and changes.
Sounds like you think Musk went too far in this one case.
Well, yes, I do.
All right, Representative Nicole Malliotakis, we appreciate your time this morning. Thanks so much for being with us. Sarah?